Do you ever find that in your warehouse you have dead stock? You can't sell it, no one wants to buy it, and you can't get a refund on it. Or alternatively, you're missing inventory in your warehouse that you need. You've got sales coming in and you're low on stock and you haven't ordered more stock in time. All these things hit profit. And I've been there. I've run my own Shopify store and had exactly that problem. But we've partnered it up with Inventory Planner, who have the most incredible app to help you manage that and forecast exactly what products, what SKUs, even down to what color of product you need to order in advance to make sure stock levels remain consistent throughout. They're also running a 7-day boot camp. And if you want to go and sign up to that, it's 7 emails over 7 days. And it takes the same amount of time as your morning coffee. And in 7 days, like me, you can become an inventory management pro. Both links are in the description. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Winning with Shopify podcast. For anyone that's not tuned in before, my name's Nick and I've been hosting the show for over 3 years now, which is quite exciting. And an amazing milestone, and amazing to have so many of you guys tuning in over the years that I've been doing this. If you're new to the show, then welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you tuning in, and I thank you so much for clicking on the brightest, pinkest icon you've ever seen in your life. Hit the subscribe button, leave us a review, and let us know what you think. We have launched a community recently, and loads of you guys are already in the waiting list. Some of you are already in the community, and others I will be inviting in the next few weeks as well. It's been so good to talk to you guys. Here's some of your problems about cookie consent modes, Google Ads, and a whole range of other things that have been happening in the last week. So if you haven't already, go to wwspodcast.com. It's a new domain we're on. If you go to winningwithshopify.com, it will forward there anyway. But WWS, which stands for Winning with Shopify, wwspodcast.com, and hit Growth Hub and click to join the Growth Hub, fill out the form, and we will add you to the waiting list and let you in hopefully in the next few weeks. This week, I had a very special guest, Peter from Phamily Foods in Toronto, Canada. He's got an incredible story, and I had such a good chat with him about actually how they started. He never set out and planned to have nearly 1,000 orders in 3 days to fulfill. So stay tuned and find out what actually happened during that time, what caused those 1,000 orders to come in, which was quite unique, especially as we've been talking about influencer marketing recently. And spoiler alert, it wasn't your normal sort of influencer. Definitely listen right to the end of this episode as well, because right at the end, he actually dropped an enormous bombshell, something I was not expecting him to say at all, after telling us how well everything has been going. Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's show, and thanks again for tuning in. So, Peter, welcome to the show. How are you?
What's up, Nick? It's a pleasure to meet you, man.
Well, it's great to have you on the show, and I'm so looking forward to today because we've spoken quite a bit about food over the years, but not quite like refrigerated fresh food and some other stuff. I know we're gonna touch on today, which is quite exciting. But before we jump in, Peter, like if anyone's just listening to this and they haven't looked at the title or anything, and they're just like, Nick, who on earth is Peter? Tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about the business as well.
All right, so I'm Peter. I'm a professionally trained chef, and I decided to take up this pandemic project, making patties and pot pies at home. Um, yeah, it's something that just started out with friends and family, um, eventually friends of friends, and one day Toronto's like biggest blog site posted about us, and it really sent us to the moon. And that was, yeah, because of that article that forced me to pursue this full time. And then fast forward 3 years, my wife, mother, and I are just we are running a top 5 patty shop in Toronto.
Wow. Well, okay, so normally people sort of say, one day I had a dream and I got out of bed and I had this dream and I wanted to pursue it. So you've just gone straight in, almost like cutting through all the noise with like, I really want to do this. So, and I've written this down. I love that you called it a pandemic project. I love that. It's like flip something so negative, which obviously it was negative and very horrible at the time, but flipping it on its head to like, well, I'm going to create something out of this. Like, why not? So I guess let's start with the blogger. So like this blogger talked about you. What exactly did they say? Like, was it just a small mention and everyone was like, what is this thing? Was it a massive article? And was it completely organic? Was it like you had no idea this thing was coming? They just happened by chance to try the food and go, I'm writing about this.
Yeah, they had reached out to me out of the blue, and then asked a couple of questions. I didn't know when the article was coming out, but I was expecting it. And for more context, I was doing maybe 20 orders a weekend while working my full-time job in demolition and construction. And after that article, oh yeah, I was doing the hard labor. Just go a little more context. I used to be a professional chef for 5 years, and I got burnt out. I started hating what I was doing, so I just wanted a complete drastic change into something. And I
So you
feel like
decided
hard
to
labor
smash
is,
buildings apart as
yeah.
a solution.
It was, I find hard labor is a good way to find yourself. Just mind numbing. Just exhaust yourself every day. Just like start questioning what are you doing with your life. So yeah, pandemic came, and then so blog to the article came out on a Saturday morning, 7 a.m. At 7 a.m. I had 5 orders, and then after every half hour there were maybe 10 orders. I was constantly getting orders, and I thought my account got hacked. Like it just didn't make any sense. It kept on going. Come Monday morning, I have 1,000 orders.
Thousands.
Um, and
Wow.
I kind of roughly calculated it. That's about 30,000 patties that were ordered in over a weekend. Um, and I'm in my condo making, maybe 50 patties an hour. I'm like, this is, I can't do this at home anymore. So that forced me to really think that it allowed me to, sit back and realize I could take a stab at this. Quit my job. My job is always there. So that decision was easy for me to make.
Yeah. Absolutely. And just because I apologies if you mentioned this already, but if anyone's sitting there thinking, okay, so what does Peter actually sell and what's the name of the business? So it's Family
Right.
Eats. It's spelled PH, isn't it? Rather than
Yes,
F.
yeah, with the PH. Yes, my last name is Pham. Um, that's where the family comes from.
I like it. It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
and I guess sorry, and for I guess for the listeners overseas, like where you are, it's a closest it's a I guess a cousin of the Cornish pasty,
I was
a,
gonna
a
say
Jamaican
it looks like a
a Jamaican
pasty.
patty. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's what it is. And then the pot pies are everyone's familiar with the pot pie, just meat filling inside pastry.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. So that's what you sell, and obviously you got this blog post, and suddenly there's 1,000 orders. Now we've had clients in the past, I've had guests on the podcast that have said like they did like a Kickstarter campaign, and it was like, oh my gosh, we're only running this for a few weeks, and suddenly we got to fulfill all of these orders. Like, I guess I don't want to ask just the simple question of like what happened next. Obviously, you fulfilled the orders somehow, or you did something. You're still here. What were some of the challenges around that time? There must have been this mixed emotion of like joy and just a complete panic of like, what am I going to do here? But yeah, how did you survive like the next sort of 24, 48 hours, smashing buildings apart in demolition whilst making all this food? I mean, I guess another question as well. Did you get any PTSD from like, this is what I tried to get away from, was all these like hectic orders in the kitchen, and now I've got that again. Like, what was going through your mind at this stage? Like, obviously, it must have been mixed emotions.
Absolutely, it was a mixture of joy, excitement, and then eventually when it came down to actually trying to figure out the logistics of this, it was just like just a deep depression of not knowing what to do. So yeah, I mean, the first thing is find a kitchen I can rent from. um, Buying all the tools that I need, and then figuring out how to package them with like the bare minimum of you know stuff you can find at kitchen stores. And then finding a way to organize how to do these orders properly. So finding software. At the time, my wife was working for this company called Jobber, and they catered to home services and like lawn care and that kind of thing, and CRM, that kind of stuff. So I ended up just kind of retrofitting this all my orders through that system, and it wasn't perfect, but like it was great. They were still adding all the features that we could use. 'Cause at the time during the pandemic, no one's your stores were closed and restaurants haven't pivoted yet. I'm doing all the deliveries myself. I'm delivering straight to the customer. So I made all the deliveries. It was crazy. The thing that I just had to accept was I couldn't deliver these, you know, as fast as I could. People had ordered and waited 4 months to get their order. Um, but by the time I reminded them, hey, I'm delivering your order this weekend. Like, let me know if that works for you. And they'll be like, oh, I totally forgot I ordered. Thanks. This is a great surprise to myself.
Good. So as long as they're happy.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I say quite a lot on the podcast, like so many brands that I work with. So, for context, if anyone's not listened before, and you might not know as well, Peter, behind this wall is my agency, and we do PPC and SEO. So we work with lots of clients acquiring customers. That's like the big thing that we focus on. And one of the things I'm always talking to clients about, and I do find brands really struggle with this, and it's talking to customers. And it's even when they talk to a customer, it's knowing what questions to ask. And I used the analogy a couple of days ago with a client and said, like, it's a bit like dating, right? You need to have some good opening lines. So a customer goes, right, I understand why we're on the phone, why we're talking, and what you want to get out of this, or what you want from me, and it's not going to cost me much. And it's like, it is almost like trying to start that conversation. So if you go in going like, why did you buy your product? That's not a good way to start a relationship or a conversation. If you go in going like, hey, you're one of our lovely customers. Thank you so much for buying from us. And this is, but what I love is you say about you were actually delivering the product to customer. And I guess, and I'm hoping for some real gold from this question, if I'm honest, because I say this to people all the time, and I've had a few founders like yourself say they do exactly the same. They deliver the product to customer. What did you learn? Like, how amazing was it for you, even just that initial bit before you found other solutions for delivery? What was it like you actually having that one-to-one personal face-to-face time with a customer to see like who they are, where they're based, and all the other stuff? Like, how important was that? What did you learn over that kind of interaction?
I learned that it's especially starting out, um, I feel like it's important to be that first contact point for every customer, because then you get to really figure out like how you want to interact with customers and how you want to present yourself. Because at the beginning, you are basically the brand, and you want to create as many positive associations as possible with people, because eventually, yeah, you're gonna have to pass it down to your staff, and they're gonna have to learn how to present themselves as well to represent the brand. So it is absolutely 100% the most important thing, and it's obviously not scalable in the future, but at the beginning, I think that's what matters the most. Just shaking that person's hand, like you really are showing appreciation to all your customers, and I feel like I mean, I love that part of the business. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. Which is good. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it, I suppose. But it's I hear what you're saying, and it's really nice actually to hear someone say that. I love the phrase, and I've written this down. It's about how you present yourself. I love the way you said that, because that, as you say, that's exactly how you or any of your staff are ever going to be doing stuff. And I guess to flip it on its head into like the digital world, how has that formed and shaped your branding? Like, was that the first and foremost? Like, I get why they're buying, the reaction they have, the language they use. I'm taking all of that to my website, or is it actually that your website's almost kind of worked in silo and gone? The website is the selling bit, and then this is the bit back, and the two aren't connected. Or like, how have you found that whole kind of branding process meeting those customers?
That's a great question. So my wife slash partner, like we're 50-50 on this. She handles all the back end stuff, the admin and like all the bookkeeping, but she also has a lot of experience in design and like the back end experience of things, because she works in tech. So she has a way more professional touch than I do. I'm more of a bare bones to use what you have kind of attitude. So I guess I guess once I guess that's like she made the website, and she made it look like fantastic. It looked so amazing, and I felt like she helped guide me in a direction on how to be present myself in a more professional manner. And I felt like she helped drive, I guess, yeah, she helped drive the brand in that way.
Yeah, yeah. And I think anyone who's like trying to answer that question at the moment of like, how do I present my brand? What do I do? Definitely check out their site. As we say, Family Eats with PH instead of an F at the start. But yeah, familyeats.ca. Definitely check out the site because it's bright blue and yellow. And I love that it's quite a striking brand, but also I don't know if this was intentional from her or from yourself or not, but the yellow is very similar to the actual color of the product when it arrives. So it's quite nice that the two kind of interlink. So anywhere you're seeing yellow, you are thinking about. Don't get me wrong. I'm from the UK. Like I was on the border to Cornwall literally last night. When when I drove back from a holiday. We love Cornish pasties here in the UK. Like there are a firm favourite. Almost every train station in the UK is a little. Certainly in London, there's a little booth selling Cornish pasties. They're absolutely delicious. And so I guess with food as well. Like, and I think it's a really good thing to get your thoughts on as well, if we can. Is how do you bring that like sensory taste approach through in every interaction people have? Because let's face it, when you kind of drill down with food, and it's very similar in clothing and other things. Well, when you drill down with food, it's all about happiness, isn't it? And I'm happy if I'm eating something that's delicious. That makes me happy. It makes me feel good, and I want more of it. How do you like bring that across in all the moments when when the customer's not physically putting food in their mouth? How do you bring it across in branding, menus? How do you name products? Like, how does all of that work from your perspective?
That's a good question because I just realized we did hire a design sorry, a branding and design person to help structure our colors, the color palette, and like even the font. Um, yeah, like even the font. I feel like this helps describe our vibe. So yeah, I would highly advise hiring someone professionally uh, to help you guide your whole I guess your whole brand guideline. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some brands, and I'm totally, I don't know if you are or willing to admit as well, Peter, but I as a business owner, I am so guilty of going like, do you know what, guys? I don't like blue. I like red, and put red on it. And it's like, no, it's not about you, Nick. It's about the customer.
Yeah,
And I'm like
yeah,
sitting there going like,
exactly.
yeah, I think there is a level though of like, I mean, if we take the podcast for example, like it's bright pink. I'm, as you can tell, Peter, and all others, I'm quite loud. Like my wife in restaurants will be like, Nick, keep your voice down. And if she's listening, she'll absolutely be like, oh, I knew it. And now he said it publicly. But I'm quite loud. Having loud branding makes sense. But I've used this analogy before. Us having a pink podcast is me eating humble pie of going, I know you've got two pink lights either side of me here. Pink's not a Nick color. I don't get out of bed in the morning and go, I really like pink. It's the same as you. It was a designer who looked at where our podcast is going to show on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Amazon, etc., and go, they've all got really dark colors on all of their icons. So let's go light. And then they'll see us and go, that's bright. What's that? And I think it's worked really, really well for us. And data wise, we've seen an uplift. But I think, yeah, it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on that as well. Like you say about the font matching your vibe, but you didn't choose a font you liked, I assume. You chose one that was like, this is the vibe and this is what we provide. And it works because customers buy it. And that's the important thing here is it works. But you must have had those days like me where it's like you get a bit precious and be like, guys, I don't like, and I remember saying like, I don't like pink. And they all said to me, we don't care. This isn't about you. It's about your listeners. And more people
Yeah,
will find it and
exactly.
listen to it if it's bright pink than if it's black or dark blue or something that you like, Nick. I'm even wearing a dark blue t-shirt right now. This would have been the podcast color if it up to me, and we'd have
Yeah,
less
that's
listeners. So there we go. But
that's fun. No, I like I think you nailed it there. Like if we got away by choosing everything, like I don't think I would be where I am today. I my our first logo was just a circle, and I forgot what font it was, but it was just like straight lines. Like it was, I just needed to get started, and I just slapped something so simple together. And I feel like that's kind of like my approach to this whole business was like my attitude at the beginning was just let's just see where this goes. I didn't have any grand plans for the business, so like everything was super bare bones. Just made something quick in like Canva or something. Like the most plain black and white family eats text. But it was good enough. It was good enough to get started. And then like once my wife's like, all right, let's step it up. Let's level up Family Eats. And I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
let's do it.
yeah. No, which is cool. And I think that there's also the other philosophy which probably applies before everything I've just said about like, like make it for the customers. If you don't have any customers, you just need to almost like fail fast. And I love the phrase fail fast because it's like, as you say, just make something. And that's probably what we had on the podcasts previously, or when Caroline first started the podcast, probably what she had, and it evolved. And it was when I bought that branding consultant who's also called Nick. He came in and did an incredible job on it. And our views have gone up. Like it's been really, really successful for us. But I think it's really important that you keep almost that closeness to customer right the way through the journey. I'm sure you still talk to customers and still look at their feedback and that kind of thing. So let's fast forward a little bit from, or you can tell me how long it's been since, kind of early pandemic days to where you are today. But certainly, like, tell us about today. Like, how do you sell a food product today? What are some of the key components that you have to adopt and apply to sell a product through a web page and have the next 1,000 orders buying from you?
Yeah. So Our approach to we have an online we use Square for our online ordering,
Yep.
um, and that it's hard to drive traffic to that site. So um, yeah, like we you just need to have all the basics down. Like you just need to have the function of like, okay, I want to buy a box of patties. Like how easy can you make it for the customer? And we just like took that approach. And in terms of like trying to drive traffic to it, like I never really focused on that because we have a storefront, and like that's where I spend the majority of my time. Like I feel like the online store, especially for a fresh food product, like you want to be able to give people that convenience of ordering online and then just coming to the store and picking it up. But the majority of my customers are like they just walk into the store
Yeah, yeah.
and order there.
But I guess a big learning, and just to say as well, if you've tuned into the Winning with Shopify podcast and you're like, what, you guys use Square instead of Shopify? Like, it's cool. We have lots of Magento stores and stuff on the site as well. That we're more about ecom, but Shopify tends to be the heart of things. Does your email marketing suck? Do you wish it converted better and integrated better with your store? Well, there is a solution. We've partnered with Seguno, who are an email platform that is built into Shopify, which means you don't have to leave Shopify to go and manage your email campaigns. So you can run your marketing at the same place you run your shop. To learn more, you can claim your free customer analysis and strategy session and visit seguno.com/winning with Shopify. That's seguno.com/winning with Shopify. Seguno is made for merchants, not marketers. Obviously, you guys have got a very unique operation there, which is about ordering, which is a bit different to just buying. And we'll talk about delivery and stuff in a minute as well, because there's all the other challenges that come with that. But I think something you've touched on that I does think apply to literally everybody though who's trying to sell a product though is that it's that you mentioned a few really key components. Like we make it really easy for people to buy, and as you said, like most people like walk in or they order probably on Uber Eats and stuff and like have it delivered, pretty fresh. Even through that though, you're actually getting a lot of repeat customers, and that is the cheapest and most cost effective way of doing marketing. Is you pay whatever you need to get them in the door, ideally as little as possible, but there's going to be a level, and sometimes not even a break even level, a loss leader, getting people in the door. But once they're in, I mean, your product must scream for itself in terms of people ordering it more than once, telling their friends, and that organic growth of, as you say, people walking in the shop or just ordering straight away online. Someone's not even knowing where they've come from. It's like our marketing's just working because orders are just coming in. Like people are just finding us or Googling our name and they come in. We can't attribute, which of their friends at the family barbecue on Sunday was it that said our name that caused them to come in. But I think it's that customer repeat success must be so important to you guys. Like you must have to, I mean, I guess you probably take the approach every time of like every single time we sell a product, we have to nail this. We have to win that customer back for future products. And we have to do that consistently. And if we're not doing that, it's probably not going to work. So you guys must have to focus so much on that delivery of product, the tastes, as you say, making it easy online or in the store, welcoming them with a smile and a hello. I imagine very Canadian thing to do compared to some of us cold Brits, where you don't even get a hello in some shops. But tell us more about that. Like, how do you guys kind of warm customers up to the sort of second, third, fourth purchase and beyond?
I, I honestly, okay. So coming from a professional chef background, the thing that I like love the most, and I feel like is the best skill set that I've learned over the years is just making food taste really good. And it's just like having the attitude of you could always make it better, and it's never going to be perfect. Like it really forces me to like make these 1% tweaks every year. Considering that I make a fresh batch of filling and dough every week for the last 4 years. Like each time I do that, there's something that I can think about to help improve the process, and then therefore making the product better. And every week you make the product 1% better, and once you get to like a point, like the product starts selling itself, because everyone talks about word of mouth, but like there's actually it's a double-edged sword. You could have negative word of mouth, and you have positive word of mouth. When the word of mouth is working for you because you're seeing new customers, you see new faces, and like people are telling you, "Oh, like my brother sent me here. He's told me about how amazing these patties are," and when they're not coming back, or there's just there's like a month that you have that just like you mess something up, and like you have to get back to the drawing board. So I feel like that's the major like contributor for the people coming back. Um, and also, like there's something to be said about customer service. Like, really, I'm the person that they deal with every time I'm at the shop. I'm like assembling patties in the back, and then I'm still greeting. I'm making patties as I am selling them too. So yeah, customer service, making sure that you acknowledge, like not enough people like make this a priority. Is as soon as they walk in that door, you greet them, you tell them, you acknowledge them, and you greet them with a smile, like every single time. It doesn't matter if you're in a bad mood. Like they took time out of their day to come to your store, and like my store isn't really a convenient place to get to. It's in the middle. We consider it midtown, so it's like it's far from downtown, which where most people are, and then also it's not central to most parts of the city. So for the fact that people come into the store, like I'm grateful every time a customer walks in looking for patties.
Yep. And what I love about that is you just, as soon as you said like about greeting people at the door, I suddenly was thinking like, okay, where do I, coffee shops, restaurants, where do I go regularly? And what happens when I walk in the door? And every time, even if there's a queue of like 10, 20 people waiting to get a coffee or something, the owner will always be looking up the queue, while he's making coffees. He goes, like, oh, morning, mate. Be with you in a sec. Like, shouldn't be more than 5 minutes. And I listened to something really interesting recently by this absolutely marketing legend called Rory Sutherland. He's this kind of very grumpy, not very politically correct British marketer. He's from Ogilvy PR, which a lot of people already heard of. But yeah, Rory Sutherland. He talks about the psychology of people not being bored, and I love that. And what it is say you walk into a shop. If 1 minute goes by between you walking through the door, getting your item, and leaving, that can still feel slow and boring. Say like it's only you and the shopkeeper, and you say, "Oh, can I have one of those?" And they reach up on the shelf and they get it. They probably go, "Oh, wait a minute," and then they walk out back for like 45 seconds, come back, run it through the till in 5 seconds. Like you've only been in the shop for a minute, but it's boring. And it feels like, and you think like, oh, they're so slow in there. I'm not going back there. That's awful. When actually you could stand in a coffee shop queue for 10, 15 minutes and not feel bored because you're being greeted by somebody or you're chatting to other people in the queue, or actually there's such a buzz in the cafe and oh, the decor's really nice, and you're looking around going, that's a fascinating picture, and oh look, why is there a bike on the wall? Like, and then you realize it's part of a piece of art, or it means something, subconsciously, or very subtly kind of making a message or something. And it's that whole process of not feeling bored. And I think in the food industry, like, it's so important that anywhere you go, like if you're sitting at a restaurant and going, I haven't seen the waiter for 20 minutes and the conversation's kind of died down, the world's best waiters notice that and they go, that table's a bit quiet. So like, guys, are you guys all right? Would you like some more drinks? And like, okay, great. How was this? How was that bit of food you had, or how was that drink? And you start asking questions, which means people aren't bored. And sometimes you go like, oh my gosh, I've been in here for 3 hours having dinner. It doesn't feel like 3 hours. And the moment I walked in, we were given some nibbles. So I didn't feel hungry. I've had a lovely meal. And now I'm having coffee. I don't normally have coffee, but it's such a lovely environment. And, the conversation. So it's that whole thing of, I think boredom goes a long way. And I think where I know you guys have quite a simple digital operation, but where I'd challenge a lot of you guys listening that have more of a traditional sort of like, Shopify store layout or e-commerce store layout and just selling digitally online, that boredom is really, really important to get rid of. And it's everything from SEO page speed right the way through to, and I imagine you probably have this with some degree with your orders. Like if you order something on Uber Eats and it takes 45 minutes to come, but they've had 2 text messages or SMS through that time, they're not so bored, are they? Whereas if you order it 45 minutes and it's just now in this abyss of like, some point between now and in 45 minutes time, the doorbell's going to ring. And until then, I'm going to hear nothing, or an hour, or say it's an hour and a half. And you're thinking like, where is my order? Like, this is not good. You must have had to deal with that over the past. You must have had, you don't need to tell us the kind of the completely bad and the ugly, but you must have had customers waiting too long and had to deal with that process and make sure they're almost sort of informed all the way through.
Uh, Absolutely. At the beginning of the pandemic, when we are only delivering patties, yeah, we were there was no storefront that people could come to. So it was very important to over communicate when they can expect their order, and then what time they're going to expect the order, as opposed to just like, yeah, this is learning from all these deliveries, like not letting them know when we're showing up, and then it's a surprise, or they're not at home because you didn't make sure they were home. So you're just like you're going all through all these, you're I won't say mistakes, but like you're just learning as you go, how important it is to over communicate. Um, yeah, just like even a week before you're gonna deliver, just you let them know so they can expect it. You're not just coming out of the blue. And in case you try to call them, you send them text message, you email them like, you can get a hold of you. We tried our best. It's just like as long as you can show the effort, I feel like people really appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's respecting their time, isn't it? And certainly with food, you don't want to get a text going, "We tried to deliver your food and you weren't there, so we've taken it back now." And you're like, "My food's getting old. Like, I want to eat that food and I want to eat it soon." And I mean, let's face it, like your products as well, like a lot of food products. If you're ordering them in rather than going to the grocery store yourself, it's premium. It's a premium service and a premium delivery. And it's like you need the premium service on that. So I think, as you say, like just sending that even that occasional text message or email, or just give them a quick phone call to say, I'm going to be between 11 a.m. and midday. Like, I'll see you in that hour slot. I mean, it must mean so much to customers. And I guess a kind of completely changing tactic. There's one more thing on my list I really want to talk about and get your thoughts on this and how you guys have used it so much, especially given the kind of product you've got. Is when we talk about like social media and you guys doing email campaigns and kind of reaching out to both existing audiences and new audiences. Like, what are some of the things for a business like yours that just work really well? And secondly, like, what are some of the things that you've tried and are just like, that is not for us? Like, that just does not work for our business. It feels great, but it doesn't deliver anything.
Oh, I love this question because we've tried them all, um, and things. I mean, I feel like things can work as well as they should if you know what you're doing. And then what I mean by that is a lot of people will tell you, "Oh, I tried Instagram, it didn't work." But what they really mean is, I don't know how to use social media, or like, I use email campaigns. No one clicks through. It doesn't work for me. But like if you read the email, I'm like, I don't want to look at this either. Like there are ways to do things. There, it's easy to do things, but it's hard to do them well. And um, it's like you really have to like check your ego aside and 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 look at people that do it well, and then like start asking them questions on what they did, or like finding exactly. It's just like finding like a mentor. Like the best way for you to learn is to find someone that does it better than you and like has been doing it for a long time. So yeah, I'm in a food hall. There are like multiple restaurants in the location that I currently operate in, and a lot of them will be like, yeah, I do social media, it doesn't work. And I'm very petty. Like I will be like, no, it does, and I'm going to show you how to I'm going
I
to show
love
you how
that.
to do it. Like i'm going to I'm
You're
going to
wrong,
make
and here's some proof.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's it's like it doesn't mean anything if like, oh, you if you tell them, yeah, you're just not doing it right. It's like it's easier for me to show you multiple ways and how to do it. And there's just like, sure, there are worse ways than there are to do it, and there are better ways. But like, I'm just going to show you how I like doing it. So I made a bunch of posts. You can see the reach on it. You could see the customers come in because of that specific post, and then they're referencing it. And then there's also like, not everyone has time on their hands to make content. Like making good content and making fun, entertaining content is a hard thing to do, but it requires a lot of reps. And that's the thing that most people don't understand, is like you have to iterate each content piece that you make. And then also, if you don't want to be the one behind the camera, or like if you don't want to be the one shooting, ideating, or like editing the thing, like you got to find influencers that you vibe with, and that's the easiest shortcut to play the social media game, especially in the food and beverage, like part of social media. You have to be on there. You want eyes on you, and you need eyes on you, and that's the name of the game. Like you want to garner attention, and find people that do it better than you and collaborate with them. It's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah. And like my local cafe, they're called Lucio's. I sometimes have their coffee. It's like a light green cup. I'm going with today. But someone's drinking their coffee on the podcast as well. And whenever I go in there, they always do coffee art and stuff on my coffee, especially when I'm sitting in. And that I just take one glance at it and I'm like, I feel rude not putting it on Instagram. So some of the people that follow us on the Winning with Shopify Instagram will have seen their coffees pop up just on the odd story. Me being like, normally Byron, who I think you spoke to as well, Peter, like he's the brains of the operation. He organizes all the guests. He set up this studio. He finds the best editors for us, works out topics. And Byron and I are sitting there having a meeting with some good coffee art. It's like quick selfie, like, yeah, we're planning. And we get people messaging us and there's like this whole little community starting. So I think there is some content like that that's really simple, but I think, as you say, a lot of it, like, it wouldn't shock anyone to say how much work goes. I mean, it's probably about 7 people that go through between Byron coming up with an idea and the podcast going live every single Friday. And that's my team behind us, 3 of us in the podcast side of things working, the guests, editors, the whole stream of people who make it come together. And some people, they look at my podcast and go like, oh, that looks kind of cool. And I'm like, what do you mean kind of cool? Like,
Yeah.
we work so hard to get this thing out the door. Like, and then we get a complaint and we're like, it's free. Like, it's free. But I think you touched on something really cool, actually, which is the creating cool content that people want to engage in. And actually, I love the fact that you talk about spending so much time and energy on that single post, because then it's going to pop. And actually, I think that there's just so many, like, there's loads of bots online, there's so much noise, everyone's posting all the time. So how do you actually fight for that shop window space? But I think it comes back to all the other things we've spoken about, which is when they're in the shop, when the product arrives, that incredible taste. You don't need to have like big stickers all over the window saying like, review us on Google, review us on Trustpilot, post on Instagram, scan this QR code. You don't need to do that if they try your product and go, that's incredible. And if they haven't had it for a few months and they come back and buy one, they go, oh, I've missed this. This is amazing. This is really, really good food, or good drinks, good coffee, etc. And I think it's that process where if I haven't bought a coffee from my local cafe for a week or two, I go and have one and be like, what have I been doing? Like, this is great. Like, and it's I put it on the company card. Like, it barely costs me anything. Like, I should be buying more coffee. And that's the thought process you go through of like, I should be buying more coffee. And so it's so important, going right back to the heart of what we were talking about earlier, like the sensory side of, as you say, every year making it that 1 or 2% better. Every round of cooking you do every week, and go like, okay, how do I make this thing better is so important. And I am going to say this out loud and say, I think you as a chef who have an edible product, you do have an advantage where you can try it yourself and go, that's good or that's bad, and adjust it. Whereas I think so many brands, like a lot of you guys have got a bigger challenge ahead of you in that sense. Things like delivery and stuff is a lot easier with a t-shirt or a pair of shoes. But you've got a harder thing of like, you're talking about people's personal preferences and choice, whereas taste is a bit more universal, I think. But there's still a lot of noise to fight through. But I think certainly, yeah, trying to get someone to like your t-shirt or buy into the fact that you're, helping turtles reach the ocean on a beach somewhere around the world because you're doing your bit for the environment, which is really important. But I find with those kind of campaigns, you have to really encourage customers to want to get on board, rather than it just being a, wow, that tastes good. And it's like an instant, like, who doesn't love food and drink? Like, it tastes good, and we go straight in with that. Last question then, Peter, and it's been great to have you on today. But last question: if anyone's listening and going, right, I'm in Toronto and I'm really hungry right now, or someone just wants to check out the brand, give us your website address again, and like, what are some of your social handles as well? Like, how can people reach out and follow you guys, and most importantly, try the product?
Yeah, all right. So the website's it's PhamilyEats.ca with the PH. And I guess I should have led with this too. Like I'm closing my shop with in a week because I'm having my first child in October.
Oh, congratulations! That's exciting. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been such a tough thing for me to do to close the business because it's actually growing in one of the hardest times to run a business. I've just been like, you've heard of Drake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been like shipping patties to his house like the last 8 months. It's just been a
Wow.
wild ride,
Yeah.
like uh, from a condo to having a storefront, and now I'm talking to Nick Truman. So it's been it's been a wild ride, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I this probably will be posted, soon after I shut my business down. But if not, like I'm still in business for one more week.
So
Um,
order everything,
so
guys.
so
That's
yeah.
yeah. But I mean that must be such a hard decision, as you say. It's like I guess you're giving up one baby for a real baby, which is a good decision to make. I can certainly vouch for that. But yeah, I mean, do you guys have any plans to like set things up again in the future, or is it just a we just need to chill and go through this next season?
Yeah, I the dream, like the dream is for me to open up my own production facility. Like I mentioned earlier, like we are in a shared kitchen, so I'm like I don't have my own space. I don't have my own freezer. I don't have like the things that I need to like properly scale the business. But for me, like this step to where I am right now, like it was. I feel like I really fully accomplished proving this concept that you know we need a better patty in the city, and and I felt like people really expressed their like they really agreed with that with this thesis by spending the money and like buying my patties. So I feel like we accomplished that.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess in one sense you're at proof of concept, and the big decision I guess to think about now is like, do you go gung ho at this thing and go really hard with it, or are you going to just enjoy the ride you've had and kind of close it? But yeah, definitely stay in touch. It'd be so exciting to see what happens next, and certainly if you guys do pop up in kind of like I guess like level two with your own production facility and doing things much bigger and bigger and a lot harder, then do reach out. We'd love to get you back on the show and sort of find out the next stage of your journey, because it's quite unique compared to a lot of the founders we've spoken to that have gone down a more traditional sort of like buying products in, selling them, evolving that, and kind of constantly these little gains all the time. You guys have almost kind of gone like spike and down and then back up and down and up, and it's really interesting actually just seeing that journey roll out. So yeah, Peter, I really appreciate the time on the show. I mean, it's been great to have you today, and yeah, I hope you guys at home listening as well found it really useful. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, cool. Nick, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about me and my business, I am an open book. If you want to reach out to me, my Instagram handle is Phamily Eats. Uh, shoot me a message, and I'd love to answer your questions. Nick, thank you so much,
Amazing.
man.
No, it's good. Really good to have you. Really good. And yeah, appreciate you joining us. And as he says, check out their Instagram if you guys want to talk to Peter. That'd be amazing. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to today's show. Back again next Friday, everybody. And if you haven't already, check out the new WWS Growth Hub as well. Go on our website, hit Growth Hub. Check out all the stuff on the page. The conversations in there are absolutely incredible. We've got hundreds of people on our waiting list, but we're letting floods and floods more of them in as well. So definitely check that out. Again, we're back again next Friday. So thanks so much for tuning in. Do you want to up your influencer marketing game? Do you want to meet more influencers, have a better working relationship with influencers? You might even be struggling to talk to them in the first place, or even get them to talk about your product and post to their audiences. Well, at Winning with Shopify, we have teamed up with Affluencer, which is an app you can install on Shopify, and it comes with a 30-day trial. And even in those first 30 days, you can meet a load of influencers and start promoting your product. So there's no excuse. Go and install the app, start the 30-day trial, and give it a go yourself and see how you get on.